The summer morning was supposed to be like any other. June the 4th. I was half asleep in my small cabin, tucked among the tall pines, when a sound ripped through the quiet. It wasn't the usual wildlife. This was a cry, a raw, desperate, almost human wail, laced with an undeniable wildness. My heart immediately began a slow, heavy thud. The sound came again, louder, tinged with an unmistakable plea. Not one cry, but several, overlapping, a chaotic chorus of pure distress. My mind raced. A wounded deer? A stray dog? No, there was a unique sharpness to it. I swung my legs out of bed, grabbing my old bathrobe. The floorboards creaked as I moved towards the front door, the source of the unsettling sounds. The cries intensified as I got closer, a frantic symphony of tiny, desperate voices. I had to see. I had to know. I turned the doorknob slowly and pulled the door inward. The morning light spilled onto my small porch, and there they were, 3 of them, tucked together in a small, trembling heap right by the front steps. My breath caught. They were so small, no bigger than house cats, but their features were unmistakable. Large, amber eyes, wide with terror and profound hunger. Ears tipped with those distinctive, short tufts, tails stubby, fur matted and thin. Lynx. 3 lynx cubs. My immediate reaction was a jolt of disbelief, followed by pure, unadulterated shock. How? Why? Who would do this? They were shivering, their tiny bodies convulsing with weak, reedy cries. They looked utterly miserable, utterly lost. Their ribs starkly visible. They were starving and terrified. The smallest one, its little face streaked with what looked like dried tears, let out a particularly heartbreaking sob. They were babies, abandoned, left to fend for themselves on my porch, miles from any real civilization. The thought of their mother, or what might have happened, sent a cold shiver down my spine. This wasn't nature's way. This was something deliberate, something cruel, or perhaps something desperate. I knelt down slowly, trying not to spook them. They flinched, shrinking back. Their cries subsided into soft whimpers. "Hey there," I whispered, stretching out a hand slowly, palm open. They froze, eyes fixed on me. I pulled my hand back. I couldn't just pick them up. My mind was a jumbled mess. What did one do with 3 starving lynx cubs? My first instinct, the rational one, was to call for help. Local animal control. Wildlife services. I pulled out my phone. The rural signal was patchy, but I got through to the county's non-emergency line. "Hello, animal control," a weary voice answered. "Hi, yes, I have a rather unusual situation," I stammered, eyes still fixed on the trembling furballs. "I found 3 lynx cubs on my porch. They appear to be abandoned, very young, and starving." A pause. "Sir, are you sure they're lynx? Not just stray cats?" "No, I'm quite sure," I insisted. "They have the ear tufts, the short tails. They're definitely lynx. And they're crying. A lot." She rattled off a phone number for the state wildlife department, warning me it was a central office and they might take time. "They'll probably tell you to leave them alone, sir. Mother might be nearby." "She's not," I stated. "They've been here a while. They're too weak." I hung up, frustrated. The state number led to an automated system, a labyrinth of options that led nowhere. I was put on hold for what felt like an eternity, listening to dreadful elevator music, the faint, desperate cries still echoing. Every minute felt like an hour. They were getting weaker. It became painfully clear no one was coming in time. My options were simple: wait for bureaucracy or act. The choice was no choice at all. How could I just stand by and watch these fragile lives fade away? I couldn't. My instinct took over. I had to help them. The realization hit me with surprising clarity. I was responsible now. This was my problem, my challenge. It was terrifying, yes. I knew nothing about raising wild animals. But looking at their small, shivering forms, a fierce determination solidified within my chest. I wasn't just observing a tragedy. I was in the middle of it. And I could do something. My first thought was food. Milk. I remembered seeing kitten milk replacer at the local pet store. I needed a box, something warm. I found an old cardboard box, a soft wool blanket, and some towels. I carefully scooped each tiny body, one by one, into the blanket, then into the box. They were surprisingly light, their bones like delicate twigs. As I picked up the last one, the smallest, its little head no bigger than my fist, pressed weakly against my palm, and a tiny, almost imperceptible purr rumbled from its chest. It was the most heartbreaking and hopeful sound I had ever heard. Once all three were nestled, I carried the box into my living room. They huddled together, still trembling, but the cries subsided into soft whimpers. They were still terrified, but perhaps a tiny flicker of trust had ignited. They needed names. The biggest, boldest one, Liam. The intense, watchful one, Oakley. And the smallest, most delicate one, Misty. Liam, Oakley, and Misty. 3 tiny lives, a complete mystery, and now, my entire world. The thought of the immense responsibility overwhelmed me, but then I looked at their vulnerable forms, and the fear gave way to resolve. I wouldn't fail them. I couldn't. I drove the old pickup into town, 25 minutes on winding gravel roads. My mind a whirlwind of anxiety. I pulled into Paws and Claws, the only pet store. Mrs. Gable, the kind owner, looked up. "Morning, John," she greeted. "Early start. You could say that, Mrs. Gable," I replied, strained. "I need some kitten milk replacer. The biggest container you have. And small feeding bottles." She raised an eyebrow. "Oh, new kitten. Not exactly kittens," I explained. 3 wildcat cubs. Lynx cubs. Abandoned, starving. Her eyes widened. "Good heavens, John. You called Wildlife Services." "Yes, but they're not coming anytime soon," I explained. "They're too weak to wait. I had to do something." She nodded. "Well, you're a good man, John. This is the best milk replacer. Mix it with warm water. Make sure the nipple hole isn't too big. For very young ones, use a syringe or dropper. And keep them warm, very warm." I thanked her and practically ran back to my truck. The drive back felt even longer. Back at the cabin, I rushed inside, hands shaking as I prepared the formula. I filled a tiny bottle, testing the temperature. I approached the box cautiously. They were still huddled, but their little heads lifted, noses twitching. Liam whimpered. I gently picked up Liam, cradling him. I brought the nipple to his mouth. He flinched, then tentatively sniffed. I squeezed a drop. His tiny pink tongue darted out, tasting it. And then, something miraculous. He started to suckle, weakly at first, then with more conviction. He drank slowly, steadily, his body relaxing. He pulled away, visibly rounder, eyes a little less wild. I placed him back in the box. Next was Oakley, more hesitant, but the scent of milk overrode his fear. He latched on, drinking with an almost fierce hunger. Then Misty, the weakest. She barely reacted. I tried the dropper, carefully letting a drop fall. She coughed. My heart seized. I persisted, slowly, patiently, 1 drop at a time, until she started to lap, then tentatively suckle. It was slow, agonizingly slow, but she was taking it. Her body, initially cold, began to feel warmer. The relief was immense. They had eaten. They were alive. They had a chance. The first few days were a blur of feeding schedules, sleepless nights, and constant worry. My cabin transformed. The living room became their nursery. I had lined the box with blankets, added a heating pad. I was constantly checking their temperature, breathing, tiny bathroom habits. The smell of formula permeated the air, but I barely noticed. My focus was entirely on their survival. Misty, the smallest, remained the biggest concern. Her breathing was often shallow. She struggled with feedings. There were moments, especially in the dead of night, when I'd find her barely responsive. I would hold her, gently rub her body, willing her to fight. Liam and Oakley, though stronger, still needed constant care. Their progress was slow, measured in ounces consumed, and the gradual filling out of their bony frames. One morning, about 3 days after their arrival, Misty seemed lethargic, her eyes dull, refusing to feed. This was beyond my capabilities. They needed a veterinarian. I called Dr. Emily Carter. "Mr. Miller, I presume?" she asked, her voice surprisingly gentle despite her stern appearance. She immediately began her examination. They're severely dehydrated and malnourished, as expected. 4 or 5 weeks old. Far too young to be away from their mother. She paused, looking at Misty. "This little one, Misty, yes? She's got an upper respiratory infection, and her gut isn't doing well." My stomach clenched. "Can she make it?" Dr. Carter looked at me, sharp blue eyes. "It'll be a fight. She's very weak. They all are. You've done well to get them this far. Most wouldn't even try." She quickly administered fluids, drew blood samples, prepared antibiotics for Misty. "They'll need round-the-clock care for a while yet. These antibiotics for Misty twice a day. The gut issues are critical. She handed me a bag of medications and a bill that made my eyes widen. It was substantial. Dr. Carter, I began, embarrassed. This is the lot. She looked at me. Mr. Miller, saving 3 lynx cubs isn't cheap. If you're serious, it's going to cost you time, sleep, and money. A lot of money. I took a deep breath. I understand. I'll make it work. I had committed. As I left, Dr. Carter stopped me. Mr. Miller, one more thing. These are wild animals. You're doing a noble thing, but you need to understand. They will grow. They will get bigger, stronger, and more wild. And eventually, they won't be able to stay in your house. They'll need to go back into the wild or to a specialized rehabilitation center. Do you have a plan for that? I shook my head. No, Dr. Carter. Not yet. One step at a time. Right now, my plan is just to keep them alive. She nodded, a faint smile touching her lips. Fair enough. But don't forget it. And call me if anything changes. Anytime. The return journey was quieter. Misty was still weak, but a flicker of something seemed to be stirring. Liam and Oakley were asleep. Dr. Carter's words about the cost and the future weighed heavily, but for now, the task was clear: nurse them back to health. Over the next few weeks, my life revolved entirely around the 3 lynx cubs. My routine dissolved into a frantic dance of feedings, medication, cleaning, and constant monitoring. My cabin, once a sanctuary of solitude, now hummed with the soft chirps and rustles of young lynx. Misty was a fighter. Slowly, agonizingly slowly, she started to turn the corner. Her breathing grew stronger, her appetite returned. One morning, about a week after our first visit, I saw her play pounce on Liam's tail, a tiny, wobbly attempt at mischief. A small victory, but monumental. Liam, true to his name, became the leader. He was the first to explore, the most vocal, and the most demanding during feedings. He had an innate curiosity, a playful streak that was utterly charming. Oakley, on the other hand, was the quiet observer. He preferred to watch, to assess. But when he chose to interact, it was with a gentle precision, a soft nudge, a quiet purr. He seemed to form the deepest, most subtle connection with me. They were growing, visibly, every day. Their fur thickened, their movements became stronger, more coordinated. The initial gauntness was replaced by a healthy roundness. They were still small, but no longer fragile. They still retained their wildness, but they had also come to trust me implicitly. They would climb onto my lap, purring loudly, kneading my clothes, sometimes falling asleep draped across my chest. Those moments, quiet and intimate, were a profound reward. They filled my heart with a warmth I hadn't known I was missing. But the financial strain was significant. Formula, vet trips, draining my savings faster than I could replenish them. My job as a freelance graphic designer meant I could work from home, but constant interruptions made focus difficult. I worked late into the night. My neighbors noticed. Clara, the sweet elderly woman next door, came by. John, dear, are those what I think they are? Yes, Clara. Lynx cubs. Abandoned. Her face softened. Oh, you poor things. And you, John. That's a huge undertaking. Is it safe? And legal? I'm doing my best, I told her. Dr. Carter is helping. Wildlife department isn't equipped for them this young. Clara didn't chastise me. Instead, she offered, if you ever need anything, John, don't hesitate. I've got old towels. I can make you a casserole. You look like you haven't slept. Her kindness was a beacon. Not everyone was as understanding. David, the gruff hunter and trapper, pulled up one afternoon. Heard you got some new pets, Miller. Wild ones. That's a dangerous game. Lynx aren't house cats. They'll turn on you. They're just babies, David. Abandoned, starving. I'm just trying to get them strong enough for release or a rehab center. He scoffed. Rehab center? Nature's tough. Sometimes you gotta let nature take its course. And sometimes, David, you step in. They didn't deserve to die on my porch. Someone left them there. He was quiet for a moment. Someone, huh? Could be a trapper. Or a poacher got the mother. Happens more than you think. Then, surprisingly, keep them warm. Make sure they get enough protein. You feed in him meat yet? My eyes widened. Not yet, just formula. He grunted. Soon. Real soon. If you need any advice on what to look for, what they'll need for hunting, I know a thing or two. And with that, he drove off. David, the hardened trapper, offering advice? An unexpected olive branch. Despite these small moments of connection and support, there were times when exhaustion overwhelmed me. My life was consumed. No full night's sleep in weeks. My creative work suffered. Social life non-existent. I was often covered in tiny scratches, the playful nips of growing cubs. One afternoon, I sat on the living room floor, surrounded by 3 rambunctious lynx cubs. Liam jumped onto my back, then my head, claws gently digging in. Oakley chewed my shoelaces. Misty pounced on a throw pillow. I loved them, but I was at my breaking point. Could I really do this? Was I equipped? They were wild animals. They deserved to be wild. Was I doing them more harm than good? Just then, Misty, seeing my stillness, paused. She walked slowly towards me, nudged my hand, gently licked my thumb. She looked up with wide, intelligent eyes, a soft purr vibrating. Liam and Oakley, sensing the change, came to nuzzle my legs. In that moment, surrounded by their warmth and trust, the doubts receded. They needed me. I would keep fighting for them. Weeks turned into months. By midsummer, they were agile, curious, increasingly powerful young lynx. My cabin was starting to show it. Scratches, chew marks, reinforced screens. They were getting too big, too active for my home. Dr. Carter's words echoed. Eventually, they won't be able to stay in your house. That, eventually, was rapidly approaching. What next? I had kept them alive, but I wasn't equipped to teach them to hunt, to fear humans, to survive. They were too accustomed to me. They saw me as their protector. That kind of bond, while beautiful, was a hindrance to their true purpose. One afternoon, watching Liam effortlessly leap onto a high bookshelf, I knew I needed to find a proper rehabilitation center. The thought filled me with a bittersweet ache. I had grown to love these creatures. The idea of letting them go was almost unbearable, but it was the right thing to do. The only thing. I started my search immediately, poring over websites, making calls. Disheartening answers. Most centers were full, underfunded, or not equipped for lynx. Bureaucracy was worse than before. I was despairing when Dr. Carter called. "John," she said, serious. "I know a place. 6 hours north, one of the best. Wilderness Return Sanctuary. Run by Elena. She's tough, but dedicated. She has the facilities for lynx. I've put in a good word. You'll need to call her. Don't expect it to be easy." A glimmer of hope. I called the sanctuary. Elena, true to Dr. Carter's description, was tough, calm, measured, authoritative. She asked a barrage of questions about their history, health, my care, their behavior. I answered honestly. A long silence. I held my breath. "All right, Mr. Miller," she finally said, hinting at approval. "You've done an extraordinary job. Most wouldn't have the dedication. We have a space. It won't be easy for them, or you. They'll need a rigorous rehab program to learn to be truly wild. Months, perhaps a year. Visits will be restricted for their own good. The goal is complete release back into the wild. Are you prepared?" "Yes," I said, firm and clear despite the ache. "I'm prepared." She gave me a date, next Tuesday. Less than a week. The final days at the cabin were filled with melancholy. I took countless photos. My heart ached at the thought of the empty house. But it was for their good. On Tuesday morning, the air was crisp. The 6-hour drive was long, silent, punctuated only by soft sounds from the large travel crate. They were subdued, sensing the change. I talked to them softly, reassuringly. The Wilderness Return Sanctuary was impressive. Nestled deep within a vast, protected forest. Extensive facilities, naturalistic enclosures. Elena met me at the gate. She was taller than I expected, imposing, with keen, intelligent eyes. "Mr. Miller, welcome. Bring them in." She led me to a large, pre-release enclosure. As I carefully maneuvered the crate inside, she observed me. "They look healthy," she conceded. "You've done well." I opened the crate. Liam was first, hesitant, then a tentative step onto unfamiliar grass. He sniffed the air, whiskers twitching. Oakley followed. Misty, surprisingly, seemed most at ease, stepping out calmly and immediately rubbing against my leg, purring loudly. "Misty seems quite attached to you," Elena noted, a hint of concern. "That could be a problem. We try to minimize human contact. The goal is to make them wary of people." "She's always been the most affectionate," I admitted, stroking her soft head. Elena sighed. "We'll work with it. But you need to understand, Mr. Miller, from this point forward, direct contact will be limited. They need to learn to be independent, to fear humans, not trust them. A cold, hard truth, but I knew she was right. I spent a few more agonizing minutes watching them explore. Liam was already stalking imaginary prey. Oakley investigated a patch of grass. Misty stayed close, then ventured out a few feet, only to return. The time came to say goodbye. One of the hardest things I've ever done. I knelt, wrapping my arms around all three. Be good, I whispered, voice thick with unshed tears. Be strong. Be wild. I pulled myself away. As I walked towards the outer gate, I looked back. Liam and Oakley were exploring the far side, but Misty stood by the inner gate, watching me. Her wide, amber eyes held confusion, longing. She let out a soft, plaintive cry, a sound that ripped through my heart. It was the same cry I had heard on my porch months ago, but this time, it was a cry of loss, not hunger. She'll be fine, Elena said, softer. They're resilient. You've given them a solid start. I nodded, unable to speak. I walked through the gate, not looking back. The silence in the truck was deafening. My house felt empty, hollow. The first few nights were the hardest. I kept waking up, expecting to hear their chirps. Nothing, just the wind. I missed them terribly. Every corner of the house held a memory. The faint scent of their fur lingered. The scratches on the floorboards. The silence, though initially longed for, now felt oppressive. I called Elena every week for updates. Liam and Oakley were adapting well, showing natural predatory instincts, learning to hunt, becoming more wary of humans. Good. But Misty? Elena always paused before talking about Misty. She's different, Mr. Miller. Elena admitted one day, a rare hint of frustration. She's not integrating as well. She still seeks out human presence, watches the staff with a strange curiosity. Less fearful. It's not ideal for release. My heart twisted. So what does that mean? It means, Elena sighed, she might not be a candidate for full release. Her chances of survival in the wild, given her lack of fear, are very low. She might be an easy target, or approach human settlements, creating dangerous situations. My greatest fear. So what happens? We have two options, Elena explained. One, continue, but it's a long shot. Or two, consider her for our educational program. She would become an ambassador for her species, helping us educate the public. It's not ideal, but it would give her a safe, fulfilling life. My mind immediately jumped to Misty, her gentle purr, intelligent eyes. An ambassador. It felt right. A safe life. Doing good. I think that's the best option, I said, heavy with sadness and relief. There's something else, Elena continued, peculiar. We've noticed something. Every time you call, or when we mention you, even indirectly, she reacts. She seems to understand. And when you visited the observation deck, her behavior changed. She became more alert, more present. Mr. Miller, I believe she remembers you. Very clearly. That stopped me cold. Remembered me? After months apart? A powerful wave of emotion. It felt profoundly true. A few weeks later, I made the long drive back. Elena led me to a large, specialized enclosure with a hidden viewing area. She's in there, Elena said. She seems to enjoy the enrichment activities. Very good with the cameras. I looked. Misty was there, larger, beautiful, batting playfully at a hanging toy. She suddenly stopped. Her head snapped up. Her amber eyes seemed to look directly at the viewing window, at me. She let out a soft, almost questioning chirping sound, a sound I hadn't heard in months. Then, to my astonishment, she walked slowly towards the glass until she was a few feet away. She sat down, tail swishing, and looked straight at me. A long, profound gaze that seemed to pierce through the glass. And then, slowly, deliberately, she lowered her head and began to purr. A deep, rumbling purr, a sound of unmistakable recognition. My eyes welled up. It was undeniable. She remembered me. All the pain, all the doubt, all the exhaustion melted away. This was the unexpected part. This profound, unspoken connection. It wasn't just about survival. It was about trust, about love, about an unbreakable bond. Elena, beside me, cleared her throat. I've never seen anything like it, Mr. Miller. That level of recognition. She really does know you. She paused, a rare smile gracing her lips. Perhaps you'd like to be a volunteer here, John? You clearly have a way with animals. And with Misty, in particular. The offer was completely unexpected. a chance to be closer to Misty, to help other animals. My life as a graphic designer felt suddenly small, distant. "I'd be honored, Elena," I said, choked with emotion. And so, my life took another unexpected turn. I began volunteering at the Wilderness Return Sanctuary. At first, once a week, then twice. Soon, I spent most of my free time there, helping with maintenance, assisting vet staff, helping with tours. I learned so much about wildlife, about conservation. Liam and Oakley I rarely saw. They were in a large, distant pre-release enclosure, observed only by remote cameras, human contact minimized. They were learning to be truly wild, to hunt, to survive. Elena shared reports of their progress, camera traps showing them stalking prey. They were becoming the magnificent predators they were meant to be. That, I knew, was their true success story. Misty, however, became my special charge. I was permitted to be one of the few handlers who could interact with her directly. She became a star ambassador, captivating visitors, teaching about protecting wild spaces, about orphaned animals, and about surprising connections. She continued to recognize me every time, her purr a deep, comforting rumble, her head nudging my hand. Our bond, forged in a moment of desperate need on my porch, remained strong. Months turned into a year, and then another. My life was deeply intertwined with the sanctuary. My graphic design work became secondary. I had found a new purpose. One late spring afternoon, Elena called me into her office. Her face held an unusual expression, excitement and quiet triumph. "John," she said, "we have news about Liam and Oakley. They've completed their rehabilitation. They're ready." My heart leaped. "Ready for what?" "Ready for release," she stated, a wide smile breaking through. "We found a perfect habitat, hundreds of miles from human settlements. Remote, untouched. It's time." Mixed emotions. Joy, profound joy, that they had made it. That they would finally be free. But also a pang of sadness, a quiet farewell. The release day was private. Elena, myself, a small team. We drove for hours, deeper into the wilderness. When we opened the crates, Liam and Oakley hesitated for only a second. Then, with a burst of pure, unadulterated energy, they leaped out. They didn't look back. They were home. I watched as they disappeared into the dense undergrowth, two shadowy forms melting seamlessly into the wild landscape. My eyes blurred, not with sadness, but with pride. This was the truly unexpected part. The journey from abandoned, crying cubs on my porch to magnificent, wild predators reclaiming their rightful place. A testament to their resilience, and to the unwavering belief that sometimes kindness can make all the difference. My life changed fundamentally that day. I continued to work at the sanctuary, a committed volunteer, a tireless advocate. Misty continued to thrive, her gentle presence touching countless hearts. And sometimes, years later, when I walked the quiet trails near my cabin, or helped with surveys, I would pause. I would listen, and in the rustle of the leaves, the whisper of the wind, the distant cry of a bird, I would feel it. A presence, a connection, the echo of 3 tiny cries on a summer morning. And I knew, deep in my heart, that somewhere out there, Liam and Oakley were thriving. They were wild. They were free. And that was the greatest, most unexpected gift of all.